Adeola Atitebi is an architect, project manager, and a businesswoman. She is the Chief Executive Officer and Creative Director of Transformacion Designs, a cutting-edge, state-of-the-art integrated company of architecture, interior designs, and project management based in Lagos, Nigeria. A seasoned professional architect and interior designer, Architect Adeola has almost 2 decades of industry experience, and she has thrived as an entrepreneur in the last half. Prior to establishing her own firm, Adeola was a senior architect with Kachai's Turnkey Projects, a leading design and construction firm in Nigeria. Adeola rose to become a project manager with a portfolio of iconic projects to her credit. After her 7-year stint with Kachai's Turnkey Projects, she had a few spells with other firms before establishing Transformacion Designs. An alumnus of Lagos Business School, Architect Adeola is also a member of the Project Management Institute (PMI), Interior Design Institute, and London and Interior Designers Association of Nigeria (IDAN). She is also a graduate of the Federal University of Technology Akure and Yaba College of Technology, both in Nigeria. Adeola's niche and expertise are centered on building design and exterior architecture. She also specializes in the art and science of facility interiors aimed to enhance and promote mental and physical well-being. As a result, she has led Transformacion Designs to execute several outstanding projects ranging from corporate outfits like banks to private residential buildings and commercial estates within and outside Lagos, Nigeria. Notable among these projects are numerous Guaranty Trust Bank offices facades and interior designs and upgrades, the Elevation Church, Maryland Lagos branch, as well as other corporate offices and church fit-outs. Adeola enjoys mentoring, reading, exploring new interior design possibilities, and watching movies during her spare time. She's also a mother of 2 amazing boys.
Hello everyone, my name is Adeola Atitebi. I'm an architect and interior designer. I'm the creative director of Transformacion Design. It's an integrated company in Lagos. We are into architecture, interior design, and project management. Transformacion Design has been running for like almost 10 years now, and we have done various projects within Lagos and outside Lagos in Nigeria. I'm a mother of 2 lovely boys. I'm quite dedicated to motherhood, and I enjoy being a mother. I believe I'm a go-getter. I do everything. I aspire and I try to work towards whatever I aspire towards. I think I'm a dreamer as well because I'm a creative, so I kind of get inspired from so many things all together. I'm a Christian. I believe in God, and everything about me has been centered around God. I grew up in a family of 4. I grew up in Ibadan. Childhood days were quite interesting. My family was a close-knit one. My mom and dad were good examples of parents and a loving couple. So I grew up to learn a lot from them. My siblings are wonderful people. Everybody has their typical character, which made growing up quite fun for me. Also, I developed a lot of what I do and who I am from, the days of growing up in Ibadan. I grew up in a family of, we were Christians, and my mom too was a very dedicated Christian. So we spent a lot of time in church. We were always going to church. And of course, we weren't just going to play. We learned a lot from there. And like I said, a lot of character building went into that. I started my company like about 10 years ago, and it's been a wonderful journey. How did I become an architect and interior designer? The funny thing was, growing up, I wanted to become a doctor when I was in secondary school, the typical, normal dream of every person. Oh, I want to become a doctor or a pharmacist or something. But first off, I didn't make the cut of JAM. So while waiting to resit the exam, my dad encouraged me to go for an admission I had at the Polytechnic of Ede, the Federal Polytechnic of Ede back then. That was in 1998. So I was given architecture. Funny thing was, I didn't even remember what course I filled for that particular form. But as God will have it, which I believe is still part of the divine orchestration of God, I went into Federal Polytechnic Ede to study architecture. Boy, it was tough. It was really tough. In secondary school, I didn't particularly take technical drawing because I just believed I was going to be a doctor. So I wasn't taking technical drawings. I wasn't doing all those kind of courses, subjects in secondary school. But the thing was, I've always been naturally talented. I could draw, I could sketch. It was a natural talent in my family. So that part kind of helped me. But settling into the course when I was in Ede was a bit difficult because I wasn't used to all the system. And of course, that was my first time of leaving home. So it was quite tough. But along the line, I adjusted. And of course, gradually, I fell in love with the course. Because like I said, architecture is a kind of course that is, it integrates both science and art together. So I was able to express myself, even though I was a science student. I was able to express the creative part of me. So I settled into the course and I started enjoying it. So when I was done with my OND at Federal Polytechnic Ede, I moved to Yaba College of Tech. So that was in year 2001. When I started Yaba College of Tech, I decided to look for employment, partly to support myself. Of course, my parents were paying my fees and all that, but as well, I was restless. I wanted to explore. And right from then, I'd also had the vision that one day I was going to run my own business. So I wanted to gain as much experience as I could. So anything that could expose me to the world of architecture and to the world of business, I was eager to. So I had a friend then that introduced me to someone and, the connection, and I got an employment offer. There was a school strike then, so I could work fully that time until the school resumed. So that was how I actually started my career and business venture in that sense. So I started work and God favored me, had good bosses, I love challenges. They were, increasing the stake for me. I was given different, projects that were quite challenging, and, I didn't see it like, oh, I'm a student, why should you give me this difficult project? But I was rising up to the challenge each time, and I was having a good time until I finished from Yaba Tech.
What are uterine fibroids? My brain says, do this, and they go right ahead and they do it. They are not cancerous. We have two types of muscles. These muscles are not under voluntary control. Fibroids generally, they are benign tumors. That is, they are not cancerous. The brain finds a way to control them to do what they have to do, but you can't mentally, consciously control them. When these muscles now develop and grow more than they should, then we say that person has a leiomyoma. That's a fibroid. Don't mind that big English. It's just what we call uterine fibroid.
I lost my mom while growing up, and it was one of the life-changing experience for me, because my mom was like a solid rock in our family. She was an up and doing woman, a very versatile person, a very enigmatic person, energetic, and so I was. You know what it is for a teenager to lose, a mother at that age. So it was devastating. It was a very terrible experience. I can never forget, because I never even envisaged that my mom would pass at that age. Anyways, my mom passed, and life had to go on, which was a tough one. You understand? So because we're a close-knit family, the love and bond was there, and we were able to hold each other's hand and, you know, support each other all through, despite, you know, losing a parent at such a young age. So my moving to school outside the home was a fresh experience for me. Now, moving to Yaba Tech, as I said earlier, I worked for a bit, so I gained some experience. I connected with a lot of people. I was exposed to different projects, and those are some of the things that form the bedrock of where I am in business and in my career today. So after 7, I worked in 1 or 2 companies. After 7, I worked in a company briefly. Then I moved to a construction firm, a consultancy and construction firm. We call it Kaches Tonki project in Lagos. So I moved to that firm, and my brother actually was the one that was instrumental to my moving to the company at that time, because he believed I was going to gain a lot of experience from the company. So I moved to that company and I worked there for about 9 years, and to the glory of God, it was an eye-opener and a turnaround for me in my business and career life as well, because it was, while working there, I was exposed to various world-class projects and very A-list projects in that sense. I designed various buildings while working with the Kaches Tonki project. I was privileged to work on different projects, different big projects, A-list projects in that sense. Due to the nature of the job, I had to move all over Nigeria. I was exposed to different, you know, people and clients and, you know, taste in that sense. It was also, while I was there, I had to make a decision about what I really want to do with myself, and what I want to do with my career, and what I wanted to do in my life. So as an architect, architecture itself is a broad subject. It's a broad field. And it was kind of cliche for every female architect to be an interior designer, which I didn't want. I didn't want to be stereotyped. And I felt, no, I wasn't going to do interior designing. I was probably going to major in landscaping or some other part of architecture. But as God would have it, I prayed about it, and I asked God to just show me and channel me the way to go. Because, of course, I was thinking in the next 5, 10, 20 years what my future was going to look like. So I was privileged to be put on a project then in 2008. It was a design of a luxury apartment in Ikoyi. And it was at that point, that project was, I can say, the main decision-making point for me on which direction I wanted to go with my career. So being on that project, I had not done anything that large before. And because I was a project manager on it, and I had to interface with so many international, you know, consultants, architects, builder, electrical engineers, mechanical engineers, international award-winning interior designers from Italy, from Asia, from Dubai, and also the project exposed me to a lot of travel. I was able to go to Singapore, Dubai, and move around just to meet and also experience what architecture and interior design is in other parts of the world. So it was a turnaround for me, because then I understood how vast and how important and how interior design as a career is supposed to be, as a business is supposed to be. So that project kind of ushered me into what I'm doing today. So as of then, I was on that project for about 4 years, and it was a learning curve for me. So at that time, I decided that yes, I think I want to be an interior designer, not a landscape architect or any other branch of architecture. So of course, there were times I had to sit down and look at, okay, how do I integrate all this? Especially I'd become a mother at that time, and I have other roles too, as a wife, a sister, you know, so many other roles I had to fulfill. And as I then too, I started getting personal projects, little personal projects, which I tried to execute on weekends because, of course, I was still in paid employment. So I tried to execute on weekends, and gradually I was building my own portfolio. I was, you know, progressing. I was gaining experience along the line. So in 2012, I finally resigned from paid employment because as at then, it was quite getting difficult to actually do my personal projects and also be committed fully to my employment. So I resigned in 2012 to start my own business. And I can remember my first job was with GT Bank. And, you know, the funny thing was I was actually quite pregnant, not quite pregnant, I was heavily pregnant at that time. But while we were negotiating the contract, but I was still some few months pregnant. I wasn't obviously pregnant, so they didn't know I was pregnant. So after the negotiation of the project, it took like 2 or 3 months after for us to execute the project. So at the execution of the project was a very sensitive one, and being my first project with the bank, the project director of the department I work with then, they were a bit skeptical, you know, being a woman one, and then two, that's the first time I'll be working with them. So they were quite skeptical, but I assured them, and of course, with the bit of experience I've gained and, you know, my work experience too in paid employment, the kind of company I've worked and all that, they were able to trust me with the project. So I did the project and it was very successful, and they were very happy. And, you know, that also opened the door for my retainership work with GT Bank up till date. So we executed the project. And the funny thing was, by the time they saw me after the project we handed over the project, I remember the QS then was shocked because it was like, oh, wow, you are this pregnant and you did this project. It was on like 4 floors and you're able to, you know, do this project successfully. In fact, I think I put to bed 2 weeks after handing over the project, which was, you know, it was outstanding for them. So it's one of the experience I look back to now, and I really thank God for the opportunity, because they say you only have one opportunity to make a first impression in that sense. So I thank God that I was given the opportunity and I was able to make a good impression. And as I've said, since then I've had the retainership contract with GT Bank, and I've worked on like over 22 branches in Lagos up till date. Also, there are some notable projects I've worked on in the course of running my business. I was able to I designed and managed the Elevation Church on the mainland. That's at Maryland, just at that Maryland junction. So it's a 1,500-seater auditorium with other facilities attached to it. It's a junior church, a facility building, conveniences, parking, and all that. Now, why it's remarkable for me is that it was a very difficult time in my life that I was focusing on a project was quite difficult for me at that time. But in fact, I almost opted out of that project because the church actually nominated us. I worked in conjunction with one other architect on the project from the church as well. So we formed the building team, and then I designed and then we executed the project. So I almost opted out because I felt it was a difficult time. I could not concentrate, and, you know, it was a project that it was like all eyes on me, because Elevation Church is a big church in Nigeria, and the mainland church is like a big annex of the island church. So I couldn't afford to just do anything anyhow. So, but I put myself together, I focused on the job, and I was able to deliver the project successfully within about 6 months, thereabout. So it's one of the one of the projects that really touched my heart. First, it's a church, and secondly, the size of the project, and at the time the project came into my life. So that's why the project is remarkable for me. Then there are other projects we've done over time, various residential apartments, design, consultancy, project management, all sorts of clients and projects that God has, brought our way. I think I'm a reserved person to a certain extent. I'm a bit shy, but I've also learned on the course of doing business that you have to be out there to a certain extent. It's we are all work in progress. Personally, I like to just do my thing, be in my office and just do my design, interface with the clients when necessary. But I'm also learning in business, even till now, that, there's some level of connection you need to have with people, you understand, and you need to talk to people. And then, of course, in the course of this doing business, I've met different people, different temperaments, different tastes, people that even have, very different tastes from what I would like to do normally. So, but running this business has taught me to do things satisfy my client's taste, because eventually what makes a successful design is the user experience, is the person using the space, what kind of experience is the person having, the idea in the mind of the client, how well have you been able to interpret it. So meeting different people that, taste that are totally different from mine and all that, and I've been able to adjust and also work with different people along the line. First of all, I'm a woman in a man's field or man's world. Whether we like to admit it or not, architecture is mainly dominated by men. So I always say this to people, that as a woman in a man's world, you always have to prove yourself twice than your male counterpart, because everybody, once they meet you as a woman, they already believe you can't deliver as much as a man, or possibly you don't have as much strength or capability, or different, gender role play, comes to mind when it comes to delivering projects or working as a woman in a man's world. So I always say you have to prove yourself twice as much as your male counterparts. So some of the challenges I've had are along those lines too, because when people meet you and they feel, oh, you can't handle this size of project because you're a woman, but over the time I've been able to prove myself, and of course with my portfolio of work now, if I meet any client, I think that discrimination has reduced quite a lot. But for someone starting up, I would only say just keep at it. Some doors will open for you, some will give you the opportunity, but once you are given the opportunity, make sure you deliver very well. Make sure you're very professional, and your end result, what you're delivering, is top notch, so that nobody would say, oh, because you're a woman, that's why you couldn't do it well, or you have restrictions and all that. So I understand that there are natural challenges as a woman. There are days you have mood swings, there are days you're tired, you have other roles to play. Like as being a mother, I am nurturing my children who are quite young and all that. There are considerations to be made, but I try as much as possible not to make any of these things an excuse for me to deliver on a project. I need to deliver to time and need to deliver quality. So I make sure all these other roles, all these other considerations don't affect my professional delivery on any project per time. As I said earlier, I lost my mom when I was age 15 plus thereabout. And as I said, those are points in my life, like the lowest point in my life. And also the point where I learned it became a stepping stone for me as well. Because for a girl child at such an age, losing, a mom at such a critical age, I was 15, I was a teenager, I was growing into adulthood, I needed that emotional support. I need someone to, I'm just navigating the world. I need someone to, you know, point me towards, you know, the right direction. Thank God for great upbringing, but those were critical moments where, you know, you're making decisions about life partners. You're having, at every point in my life, there was a need for a mom. But I thank God that though it was a challenge, but I was able to ride on it and make it work for me. I also want to talk about failure. On the path to success, you would have some failure. You can't totally rule out failing. I think sometimes failing is even what propels us, you know, to work more and to be successful. I remember a time I had a dream of, okay, owning a retail online shop for interior products, because when I started my interior design and decor business, I had challenges about sourcing for products in Nigeria, you know, to use for interior decor. So at some point I used to import a lot, and you know, importing has its own challenges in Nigeria. So I decided that, okay, I'm going to have like an online store so that upcoming interior designers like me can have a portal or place to easily get stuff they need. So I invested quite a large amount of money importing a lot of stuff from all over the world, and I'd stored them. And of course, in my head, I'd imagine how business is going to flow and boom, and you know, I'm going to be selling, and you know, I'm bringing a solution for people and all that. But it didn't work out that way. It did not. It was a shock for me. So I'm saying this to just share the part that, see, it's not all rosy. The journey is not all rosy. It wasn't all just smooth and all that. There are times you have some setback, but what should you do? You should ride on those setbacks to propel you forward to be successful. So the business didn't work, but of course, possibly in the nearest future, I would attempt it again. Fortunately, it's still in my line of business. I was able to still, you know, sell some of the products and use some of the products, but what I really wanted to do with it, I could not achieve as at then. But is that the end of the world? No, I didn't let that stop me. Like I said, it's still something I still want to revisit in future while I focus on other parts of my business for now. Whether your marriage works or not, marriage is a beautiful thing. God created marriage, and you know, it's an honorable thing. But we shouldn't let marriage define us as well.